What's up, YouTube? It's Kenny again. So you notice I'm wearing the mask. It's because I've made a big decision, and it has to do with the things that are occurring in the country, in the world right now. All right. And so I want to talk about this decision and a big bet that I'm going to make in the stock market that I think is going to enable me to double my money or close to it, and it has the potential to potentially even triple my money if I leave it in there long enough. So let's talk about it. First of all, let me get you to hit that subscribe button, guys. Subscribe to the channel. Keep track and see how this bet goes. Maybe it'll help you make a decision about whether I have good instincts or not, because this play is based primarily on my instincts, all right? So I'll try not to ramble too much. I've made this video, I've tried to make this video several times, okay? And I keep getting off on tangents and rambling. So please forgive me if I do that. I'm just going to run it through this time. We'll see how it goes. So I'm going to make a bet in the stock market, all right? I'm going to bet on myself. In the beginning, a little bit of backstory, okay? When I first got into the trading stocks, once again, about 5 months ago, okay, I saw a huge opportunity in the market, all right? The stock market had dropped dramatically back in March, and things just fell all the way to the bottom. And so all I'm seeing is just everything's on sale. It's a fire sale. Everything's on sale, okay? My instincts were telling me that there was a ton of money to be made. And those instincts paid off. Now, because of the bet that I made on Cinemark. But the truth is, because I made about $900 on just that one trade, it accounts for, probably 40% of the amount that I'm up on my total account, which is about 60%, okay? And the truth is that I identified a bunch of stocks there in the beginning, and my brain and my instincts were kind of duking it out. I say I invest with my brain and with my instincts. Well, my instincts were telling me that I should just go all in on these stocks that I identified, and my brain was telling me, no, that's probably not a good idea. You need to get a little bit of diversification and kind of protect yourself. And so I didn't go all in, you know what I mean? But in retrospect, I sat at a truck stop all day yesterday, and in retrospect, doing the math, if I would have done, looking back at the stocks that I had picked, okay, if I had done what I wanted to do, what my instincts were telling me to do, I would have more than doubled my money at this point, okay? But I didn't. So what did I do? Okay, in the beginning, an old Motley Crue song. But so in the beginning, I went through and I consciously made a decision to identify stocks that had not begun to bounce back off of the virus, okay? Because at that point, it was like July or something, so it was past the big dip and some things had started to come back. And so I went through and I tried to identify stocks that had not begun to come back, that had this huge 300% upside. And I identified several, okay? The one that I ended up betting on was that Cinemark trade. And when the vaccine news came out a few weeks ago, it popped big for me, and I made a bunch of money, okay? Relatively based on the size of my account, okay? But all of those stocks that I had identified, okay, right now, today, are over double what they were then. Now, if I would have just kept dumping money into those stocks, and indeed, if I would have left the money that I pulled out of Cinemark a few weeks ago, I would have been up another $600 or so by now, because I sold at about $13.80 and we're looking at about $17 now, and I had 200 shares. So what's that? Another $600 on top of the 1,000 that I pulled out. So I'm starting to look back at this yesterday, and I'm thinking, my instincts were right, and my brain, although I'm up and I've done really well, if if I would have trusted my instincts more, I would have made a lot more money by now, okay? And so I go back and I start, all of these stocks, the vast majority of them are still in my watch list, all right? I've been watching them the whole time, okay? And some of them have come back to levels that don't any longer provide that 200 to 300% upside, but some of them have not, okay? And I still, right now, my instincts are screaming at me at the top of their lungs, telling me that now is the time to make these moves. Now is the time, because the coronavirus thing is about to be over. I mean, we're about to get news sometime, probably in my estimation, sometime in the next 30 days, we're going to get news that says, hey, here we go. We're going to start vaccinating people next week. And when that happens, there's going to be a huge run on these stocks, all right? The sector rotation is about to really begin in earnest. And when I say sector rotation, okay, when the virus hit, money rotated out of all these sectors and they rotated into these tech stocks, okay? Everybody started pulling their money out of all of these stocks, saying, oh shit, people can't go out to eat, people can't go to the movies, etc., etc. And they started dumping them into these stocks like Amazon, Netflix, Zoom, all these stocks that they as a shelter, and those stocks as a result have been just went up and up and up and up and up for months, because people were just dumping money into them and pulling their money out of these other sectors. But now, after the news from Pfizer and Moderna a few weeks ago that they're of these 90+% effective vaccine trials, we're seeing money start to rotate back into these other sectors, and these, the airlines are starting to come back, hotels are starting to come back a little, restaurants are starting to come back, everything's starting to come back, okay? But what has not come back very much? What has come back less than the other things, okay? And what I've decided is, it's the cruise lines, guys. It's the cruise lines, okay? Norwegian. Look at Norwegian, okay? Ticker symbol NCLH, I believe. If Norwegian were to go back to where it was trading in a pre-pandemic stock market, that's 200% gain. Guys, that's triple my money. If I was to put $1,000 in that right now and it went back to where it was, just back to where it was, that's triple my money. That turns that $1,000 into $3,000, all right? So, do I think it's going to jump right back up there? No. But I think it's going to come back half. I think it's going to double my money, in the next, say, 3 to 5 months. And my instincts really tell me that it could get close to that just on the news. I mean, it's not even about the fundamentals, because yes, they've lost money, and they're losing money and stuff, but people love to go on cruises. And if you look at CCL, the same thing applies. It's not quite as big on upside, but if they went back up to where they were trading before the pandemic, you're looking at 150% gain. That's if it goes up even 2/3 of that, you double your money. All right. And although Cinemark, which is where I made all the money before, although that has come back some, I had hoped that it would drop back down. I figured it was just news about trials and it would surely drop back down, but it hasn't done that, and it's still trading about the $17 mark. But even still, if it goes back up, that's more than double your money, and movie theaters are going to be on their way out in the next 10 years, all right? Netflix and all this stuff is taking over, and so that is not a very solid long-term investment. Another thing that I was looking at in the beginning was Six Flags, amusement parks, because they were closed and we're not coming back. But Six Flags they've bounced back pretty significantly, and I don't think there's as much upside there. But the cruise lines, man, the upside, this 200% potential upside is still there. Man, if guaranteed, if you put your money in there for a couple years, you'll triple it probably. But I'm looking at more of like a 6-month timeline. I said in my other video the other day that I wanted to kind of ride something out through December and maybe January, and ride something out and not make a whole lot of moves. And I think this is the way, guys. Like the Mandalorian, this is the way. So I'm really thinking about making a big bet. Okay, now I had at first thought maybe I might just sell everything and just go all into 3 or 4 stocks, that I've identified, and the main 2 are going to be Carnival Cruise Lines, CCL, and Norwegian Cruise Lines, NCLH. Those are the 2 main ones that I want to make a play on, all right? And I may identify a couple more and kind of spread it out a little more. But I see huge upside there, and I really think that as soon as the news comes out and said, because, when the news came out that just on the vaccine trials, these stocks jumped, man. I mean, they jumped serious, like doubled. Cinemark has doubled from the levels that it was before just the news came out 3 weeks ago of those vaccine trials. Now, when the news comes out and they say, okay, here we go, we're starting to vaccinate people next week, man, these stocks are going to run. I'm telling you. And this is not glamorous or exotic like the EV stocks and all this stuff that we're playing on the future and stuff right now. But man, it's the difference between guessing at whether something's going to go real high or seeing something that's already been up high and it came down because of this virus. And now that the virus is about to be over, we're in this stage where it's going to start coming back up close to where it was. I mean, will it go all the way back up? Not immediately, but eventually I believe it will. And, if you don't want to wait that long, if it just comes back half that, you're doubling your money, man. And I'm not going to allow my brain to fight against my instincts anymore, because I think that we're running out of time. Like I said, I think sometime in the next 30 days, we're going to get this news that drops that says, here we go, we're vaccinating people, and all these stocks are going to run, and this sector rotation is going to really begin in earnest, and people are going to start putting money back into all this stuff, okay? And they're going to, because they want to do it quickly before it gets way back up there. You see what I'm saying? Like, if they do it on the news, when the news comes out, instead of waiting until people are vaccinated, which could take a few months or 6 months even, then they potentially have missed out on a bunch of profits. So I personally believe that when the news drops that they're about to start vaccinating people, that the fast track has been completed, and here we go, these stocks are going to run, guys. I'm telling you, this is the way. And so I haven't decided exactly what percentage I'm going to go, and I also haven't exactly decided all of the stocks that I will go into. But, all of my positions are up right now. I mean, I've got about 50% of my money across 2 ETFs. One of them is the ARK Innovation Fund, ARKK. I've put about $1,500 in there, and it's up about $180. And the other half is in a solar fund, TAN, T-A-N, and that one's up, also about a $1,500 position, and that one's up about, $240 to $260, somewhere in that range. And then I've got Tesla that's just been running, and it's up about $300. And then the 2 positions that I made Friday, which, both of them are just slightly up in after hours. So I do believe that this week, okay, I'm going to sell out of most, if not all, of my positions. And I'm going to go heavy, guys. I'm going to go heavy into these virus plays. It did so well for me before, and if I would have followed my instincts and dumped a bunch of money into those stocks that I was looking at, I would have made so much money by now. I mean, I would have, more than doubled my account by now instead of doing 60%. 60% is good, okay? 120% is way better. And now that I've done 60%, if I were to take this 60% and dump it all into these stocks and be able to double it, that means that I've tripled my investment, which is $4,000. So if I took the $6,000 that I've got now and put it in and doubled that to $12,000, then I've tripled my money. So I really think I think this is the way. And, financial advisors and people on YouTube will tell you, no, don't do that. Diversify, spread it out across a lot of things. And, that's all fine and good for the slow money, and that's all fine and good for, the safe money. But Warren Buffett is the most famous stock investor in the world. And what do he and his partner, Charlie Munger, or whatever his name is, say about diversification? You know what they say? Diversification is for idiots. That's what they say. Diversification is for idiots. Why would you buy a whole bunch of companies to protect yourself and make a smaller gain when you could just simply identify things that you know are going to move and then go hard? You know, trust in your instincts and trust in your brain, you know. And I really think that we're at a tipping point, and that things are fixing. This sector rotation is fixing to happen in a big way. And I plan to capitalize on it, and I'm willing to take the risk to try to make the big gain, and I'm fixing to do it. So subscribe to the channel, guys. Keep up with it. See if I'm able to do this. I'd say I'm calling that within the next 3 to 5 months. I don't want to say double. I'm going to say 80%. I'm going to say I'm going to do another 80% in the next 3 to 5 months off of this move that I'm about to make this week. You know, and the stocks that I'm looking at again are CCL, NCLH, possibly CNK, Cinemark. I might buy some more back into that. Possibly Six Flags, which is SIX. But most likely it's going to be, the vast majority of it is going to be in these cruise lines. I'm going to do some looking. I'm going to maybe make some other decisions too, and I will update you guys when I have rebalanced and reorganized my portfolio. And then if you want to keep track, subscribe to me and hit the like button on this video. And you know, when I've finished the reorganization, I'll make another video saying you know, exactly what I've done. And I'll try to make it fast enough so that if anybody wants to follow this move, you can do that. Now, I am not a financial advisor. I'm just a truck driver, smart guy with good instincts. And, you know, don't necessarily just do what I'm doing. Do your research. If you haven't looked into these things, then you're doing the wrong thing just following somebody on YouTube. But, you know, if you haven't thought about this play, okay, and if you haven't like internalized what's really going on and what's about to potentially happen and what's about to happen over the next 6 months, I mean, things are about to start coming back. If you haven't thought about that as a way to make real money, you should, okay, because it's coming. The sector rotation is coming. I'm telling you, this is the way. Thanks for watching.